The courthouse doors slammed shut behind Marcus Kane, the sound echoing like a gavel in his chest. Handcuffs bit into his wrists, and the cold metal was nothing compared to the icy glares of the officers dragging him through the crowd. He was a father, a carpenter, a man who loved fiercely, but to them, he was just a name on a report, resisting arrest. The coastal town of Havenport, Oregon, buzzed with whispers as Marcus was led into the precinct. It was a place where the salty air clung to your skin, and secrets clung even tighter. The arrest had happened in broad daylight, outside the hardware store where Marcus had worked for 15 years. A routine day, until it wasn't. A protest had swept through the main street, a clash of rainbow flags and picket signs, voices shouting for love and others screaming for order. Marcus hadn't planned to get involved. He was there to pick up nails for a client's deck. But when he saw his son, Liam, caught in the chaos, something primal snapped. Liam, 16, lanky, with eyes that held too much wisdom for his age, had been marching with the local LGBTQ youth group. His rainbow pin gleamed on his backpack, a quiet rebellion against the town's older, sterner faces. Marcus had always told him to stand tall, to be proud. But when a cop shoved Liam to the ground, Marcus didn't think. He acted. He pushed through the crowd, shouting, "That's my son." The officer turned, baton raised, and what followed was a blur. Marcus grabbing Liam, the cop yelling, "Hands on Marcus," and then the ground rushing up to meet him. Resisting arrest, they said. Assault, they claimed. But Marcus knew the truth. He was protecting his boy. Now, sitting in a holding cell, Marcus stared at the cracked concrete floor. His calloused hands, rough from years of shaping wood, trembled, not from fear of jail, but from the thought of Liam out there, alone, facing a town that could be as cruel as it was beautiful. Havenport was a place of contradictions, progressive in its coffee shops, conservative in its churches. Marcus had moved here after his divorce, wanting a fresh start for him and Liam. He'd come out as gay 2 years ago, at 40, after decades of hiding. Liam had been his rock, his reason to keep going. But now, Marcus wondered if his courage had cost them both too much. The cell door clanged open, and a guard barked his name. "Kane, you've got a visitor." Marcus stood, expecting his lawyer, but instead, it was Elena Ruiz, the owner of the hardware store. Her dark eyes were fierce, her braids swinging as she leaned close to the bars. "They're trying to pin this on you, Marcus," she whispered. "The cops claiming you threw the first punch. But Liam's out there, rallying people. He's not letting this go." Marcus's throat tightened. "He shouldn't have to fight my battles." Elena shook her head. "He's fighting for both of you. And he's not alone." Outside, Liam stood on the courthouse steps, surrounded by a small but growing crowd. His voice, usually soft, carried a fire Marcus hadn't heard before. "My dad didn't attack anyone. He was protecting me." The crowd murmured, some nodding, others skeptical. Liam's best friend, Aisha, a black girl with a knack for organizing, handed out flyers with Marcus's face and the words, "Free Marcus Kane." Aisha's mother, a pastor, stood nearby, her presence lending weight to the cause. But across the street, a counter-protest brewed, led by a local businessman, Richard Holt, whose signs read, "Law and Order." Marcus's heart sank as Elena described the scene. He'd always known Havenport was divided, but seeing it play out over his life, over Liam's life, was a knife to the gut. He'd come out to show Liam that love was worth fighting for, but now love had landed him here. The guard returned, signaling the end of the visit. Elena squeezed Marcus's hand through the bars. "Hold on, Marcus. Liam's got a plan." Back outside, Liam's hands shook as he clutched a megaphone Aisha had borrowed from her mom's church. He wasn't a speaker, not like the kids who led school rallies. But he thought of his dad, the man who'd taught him to carve wood, to stand up to bullies, to love without shame. Marcus had faced the world's judgment to be himself, and now it was Liam's turn. "I'm not just here for my dad," Liam said, his voice cracking but growing steadier. "I'm here for everyone who's been pushed down for who they are. My dad's not a criminal. He's a hero." The crowd cheered, but Richard Holt's group shouted back, their words sharp with venom. Liam's eyes met Aisha's, and she nodded. This wasn't just about freeing Marcus anymore. It was about truth, about a town deciding what it stood for. As night fell, Marcus lay on the cell's thin cot, staring at the ceiling. He thought of the first time he'd told Liam he was gay, how Liam had hugged him and said, "I'm proud of you, Dad." That moment had given Marcus strength. Now, he prayed Liam's strength would carry them both. The trial was set for the next morning. Marcus didn't know what Liam was planning, but he felt a spark of hope. His son was out there, fighting. And Marcus would fight too. For Liam, for love, for the chance to prove that truth could still win. The courtroom smelled of polished wood and stale coffee, a sterile contrast to the chaos outside. Marcus sat at the defendant's table, his hands no longer cuffed but heavy with the weight of what was coming. The judge, a gray-haired woman with a reputation for fairness, peered over her glasses as the prosecutor laid out the charges: resisting arrest, assaulting an officer, disturbing the peace. Liam sat in the front row, his knuckles white as he gripped the edge of his seat. Aisha was beside him, whispering encouragement, while Elena stood at the back, her arms crossed, eyes scanning the room like a general before battle. The gallery was packed. Havenport hadn't seen a trial this divisive in years. Supporters wore rainbow pins. Others clutched signs demanding justice for the officer. The prosecutor, a sharp-faced man named Carter, painted Marcus as a reckless agitator. Mr. Kane attacked Officer Daniel Reed without provocation, he said, his voice smooth and cutting. He disrupted a lawful response to an unruly protest, endangering everyone around him. A body cam video played, grainy and chaotic, showing Marcus lunging toward Liam as Officer Reed pushed him back. The footage cut off just as Marcus hit the ground, leaving the crowd gasping. Marcus's lawyer, Sarah Kim, a young public defender with a fire in her eyes, leaned close. "They're spinning it, but we've got witnesses." "And Liam?" Marcus nodded, his jaw tight. He trusted Sarah, but the video looked bad. He hadn't thrown a punch, but his hands had grabbed Reed's arm to shield Liam. In a town like Havenport, intent didn't always matter. Appearances did. Sarah called her first witness, a barista named Jamal who'd been at the protest. Jamal's voice shook as he described seeing Officer Reed shove Liam first, unprovoked. "Marcus was just trying to get to his kid," he said. "He wasn't fighting. He was protecting." The crowd murmured, and Carter objected, claiming bias. The judge allowed it, but Marcus could see the doubt in her eyes. Then came Officer Reed. He was young, broad-shouldered, with a clean-shaven face that screamed authority. "Kane came at me," Reed said, his tone steady. "I was restraining a disruptive protester, his son, and Kane grabbed me, tried to pull me off. I had no choice but to subdue him." The lie was smooth, practiced, and Marcus's stomach churned. He wanted to shout, to tell the truth, but Sarah's hand on his arm kept him silent. Cross-examination was Sarah's moment. She stood, her small frame radiating intensity. "Officer Reed, you say Liam was disruptive. What exactly was he doing?" Reed hesitated, then said, "He was shouting, waving a flag, refusing to move." Sarah pressed, "Was he violent? Did he touch you?" Reed's jaw tightened. "No, but he was part of the chaos." Sarah nodded, letting the answer hang. It wasn't enough, not yet. As Reed stepped down, Marcus caught Liam's eye. His son's face was pale, but his chin was high. Liam had always been quiet, introspective, the kid who'd rather sketch in his notebook than speak up. But now Marcus saw something new, a fire, a resolve. It scared him as much as it filled him with pride. Outside, the protests grew louder. Aisha had organized a vigil, and by noon, dozens of people stood outside the courthouse, holding candles and signs. Truth for Marcus. Richard Holt's group was there too, their voices sharp, accusing Marcus of undermining law and order. The divide was stark, and Marcus felt it like a weight on his chest. He'd never wanted to be a symbol, but Havenport had made him one. Sarah leaned over. "Liam's up next. He's ready, Marcus. Trust him." Marcus nodded, but his heart raced. Liam was only 16. Testifying meant facing Carter's questions, Reed's lies, and the town's judgment. Marcus had spent years shielding Liam from the world's cruelty. Now he was asking his son to walk into it. Liam took the stand, his sneakers squeaking on the polished floor. He swore the oath, his voice soft but clear. Sarah approached, her tone gentle. Liam, tell us what happened that day. Liam swallowed, his eyes flicking to Marcus, then back to the room. I was marching with my friends, he began. We were peaceful, just holding signs, chanting for equality. Then Officer Reed grabbed me. He pushed me down, and I hit the pavement hard. My dad, Marcus, he saw it. He ran over, yelling for them to stop. He wasn't fighting. He was trying to get me up, to keep me safe. The room was silent, every word landing like a stone. Sarah asked, Did your dad touch Officer Reed? Liam shook his head, only to pull me away. He didn't hit anyone. He'd never do that. Marcus's eyes burned, but he kept his gaze on Liam, willing him strength. Carter stood for cross-examination, his smile thin. Liam, you're young. Emotions run high in protests. Are you sure you saw everything clearly? Liam's fists clenched. I know what I saw. My dad was protecting me. Carter pressed. Your father's outspoken about his lifestyle, isn't he? Could he have been angry, acting out? The implication hung heavy, and Marcus's blood boiled. Liam's voice rose, sharp and unwavering. My dad's gay. That's not a lifestyle, it's who he is. And he wasn't angry. He was scared for me. The courtroom buzzed, and the judge banged her gavel. Marcus felt a surge of pride, but also fear. Liam was exposing himself, his truth, to a room that might not understand. As Liam stepped down, the crowd's reaction was split. Some clapped, others whispered. Marcus caught Elena's eye. She gave a small nod, her faith unshaken. But the trial wasn't over. Sarah had more witnesses, more evidence, but Liam's words were the heart of it. Marcus prayed they'd be enough. The trial stretched into the afternoon, the air thick with tension. Marcus sat rigid, his hands clasped under the table, as Sarah called her next witness, Dr. Clara Nguyen, a local therapist who'd been at the protest as a volunteer medic. Clara's calm demeanor contrasted with the room's unease. She described treating Liam's scraped elbow after the incident, corroborating his story. The boy was shaken, she said. Marcus was frantic, trying to shield him. I saw no aggression, only a father's instinct. Carter tried to discredit her, suggesting her sympathies lay with the protesters. Clara held firm, her voice steady. I'm here for the truth, not a side. The judge nodded, but Marcus could tell she was weighing every word carefully. Havenport's divisions ran deep, and trust was fragile. Outside, the crowd swelled. Aisha's vigil had drawn more supporters, students, teachers, even some of Marcus's clients. But Holt's group was louder now, their signs bolder, no special treatment. Liam stood among his friends, his face set, holding a photo of him and Marcus from last summer, laughing on the beach. The image was a reminder of what was at stake, not just Marcus's freedom, but their life together. Sarah called another witness, a shop owner named Miguel who'd filmed part of the incident on his phone. His video was clearer than the body cam, showing Reed's aggressive shove and Marcus's desperate lunge to protect Liam. The footage wasn't perfect, it didn't capture everything, but it chipped away at Reed's story. Carter argued the video was incomplete, but the jury's faces showed doubt. Marcus felt a flicker of hope. As the day wore on, Sarah leaned close. We're building a case, but it's Liam's testimony that's resonating. He's our anchor. Marcus nodded, his throat tight. He hated that Liam had to carry this weight, but his son's courage was undeniable. The prosecution's next move was a surprise. They called Richard Holt. The businessman strode to the stand, his suit crisp, his expression smug. I saw the chaos, he said. Kane was in the thick of it, stirring trouble. He's been vocal about his choices, and it's caused tension in our community. The word choices landed like a slap, and Marcus gripped the table. Sarah objected, citing relevance, but the judge allowed it, wanting to hear Holt's perspective. Holt painted a picture of a town under siege by radical ideas, with Marcus as a flashpoint. He's a good carpenter, Holt admitted, but his actions that day were reckless. We need order, not division. Carter nodded, satisfied, as Holt stepped down. The jury whispered, and Marcus's stomach sank. Holt's words weren't evidence, but they tapped into Havenport's undercurrent of fear. Sarah's cross-examination was sharp. Mr. Holt, did you see Marcus strike Officer Reed? Holt hesitated. I saw him grab the officer. Sarah pressed. Did you see the moment Reed pushed Liam to the ground? Holt's jaw tightened. I was focused on the bigger picture. It was a weak answer, and Sarah let it hang, trusting the jury to see through it. As the court recessed for the day, Marcus was led back to his cell. He caught Liam's eye, mouthing, "I'm proud of you." Liam's lips trembled, but he nodded back. Outside, the vigil continued, candles flickering against the darkening sky. Aisha handed Liam a megaphone again, and he spoke, his voice raw but steady. "This isn't just about my dad. It's about what's right. We won't stop until the truth comes out." Back in his cell, Marcus lay awake, replaying the day. Clara's testimony, Miguel's video, Liam's courage. It was all building something. But was it enough? Reed's story had cracks, but Carter was skilled at spinning doubt. And Holt's words lingered, feeding the jury's biases. Marcus thought of the first Pride event he'd attended with Liam, how they'd held hands, fearless for a moment. He'd promised Liam a world that would accept them. Now, that promise felt fragile. Elena visited again, slipping him a note from Liam. "We've got this, Dad." Marcus clutched it, his eyes burning. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but he knew Liam was fighting with everything he had, and that gave Marcus the strength to face whatever came next. Day 2 of the trial dawned gray, the sky heavy with the threat of rain. Marcus felt the weight of it as he was led into the courtroom, his eyes scanning for Liam. His son sat in the same spot, Aisha beside him, both wearing rainbow pins. The gallery was fuller now, the town's divide starkly visible, supporters on one side, Holt's group on the other. The judge's gavel fell, and the room hushed. Sarah called her final witness, Tessa, a retired teacher who'd been at the protest. Her white hair was pulled back, her voice steady as she described watching Reed shove Liam. "Marcus was a father protecting his child," she said. "I've known him for years. He's kind, not violent." Carter tried to rattle her, suggesting her age clouded her memory, but Tessa's sharp retort, "My eyes work fine, young man," drew a chuckle from the jury. The prosecution rested, their case built on Reed's testimony and the grainy body cam. Sarah leaned close to Marcus. "It's time for our closing. Liam's ready to speak again if we need him." Marcus shook his head. "He's done enough. Let's finish this." Sarah's closing argument was fierce. She paced before the jury, her voice rising with conviction. "This isn't about a protest or politics. It's about a father who saw his son in danger and acted out of love. The evidence, Jamal's testimony, Miguel's video, Tessa's account, shows Marcus Kane did not assault Officer Reed. He protected Liam. The truth is clear, and it's your job to see it." Carter's closing was colder, calculated. Marcus Kane made a choice to interfere with a lawful arrest. His actions endangered an officer and disrupted our community. The law doesn't bend for personal feelings. The word feelings stung, and Marcus saw a juror nod slightly. His heart sank. The jury deliberated as Marcus was taken back to his cell. Hours crawled by, each one heavier than the last. He thought of Liam, of the life they'd built, Saturday mornings carving wood, evenings watching old movies. He'd come out to give Liam a father who was whole, not hiding. Now he wondered if that honesty had cost them everything. Outside, Liam stood with Aisha, leading another rally. The crowd had grown, their candles a sea of light against the rain that had started to fall. Aisha's mother, Pastor Grace, spoke next, her voice carrying over the murmurs. "This town is better than division. We stand for love, for truth, for Marcus." Liam took the megaphone, his voice breaking. "My dad taught me to be proud. I won't stop fighting for him." The jury returned after 4 hours. Marcus was brought back, his heart pounding. The foreperson, a middle-aged woman, stood. "On the charge of assaulting an officer, we find the defendant not guilty." The courtroom erupted. Cheers from one side, grumbles from the other. "On the charge of resisting arrest, we find the defendant guilty." Marcus's breath caught. Not guilty of assault, but resisting carried a sentence, maybe months. Sarah touched his arm. "It's not over. We'll appeal." But Marcus's eyes were on Liam, who looked stricken. The judge set sentencing for the next week, and Marcus was led away, the word guilty echoing in his mind. In his cell, Marcus sat numbly. He'd protected Liam, but at what cost? The resisting charge felt like a compromise, a way for the jury to split the difference in a divided town. He thought of Liam's testimony, his courage, and felt a mix of pride and guilt. His son shouldn't have to fight this hard. Elena visited, her face grim but determined. Liam's not giving up. He's planning something big for the sentencing. Marcus frowned. He needs to be a kid, not a crusader. Elena shook her head. He's your son, Marcus. He's got your heart. As night fell, Marcus lay awake, the note from Liam still in his pocket. He didn't know what Liam was planning, but he felt the spark of his son's fire. Havenport was watching, and Liam was making them listen. For the first time, Marcus believed they might win. Not just the case, but the bigger fight for acceptance. The week before sentencing was a blur of rain and restless nights. Marcus's cell felt smaller each day, the walls closing in as he waited. He'd been found not guilty of assault, but the resisting charge hung over him like a storm cloud. A guilty verdict could mean 6 months, maybe more. He thought of Liam, alone in their small house, and his chest ached. Outside, Liam was a force. With Aisha and Pastor Grace, he'd turned the vigil into a movement. They called it Truth for Marcus, and it spread beyond Havenport. Social media buzzed with hashtags, and a local news crew covered the rallies. Liam's face was everywhere, his voice steady as he told their story. "My dad's not a criminal," he said in one viral clip. "He's my hero." Marcus's lawyer, Sarah, visited daily, preparing for the sentencing. "Liam's rallies are putting pressure on the judge," she said. "And we've got new evidence, a second video from another angle." Marcus's hope flickered. Will it change anything? Sarah's eyes were fierce. It might. But Liam's the one shifting this town. The new video, from a bystander's phone, showed Reed's shove in clearer detail, with Marcus's hands raised, not grabbing. It wasn't definitive, but it supported Liam's testimony. Sarah planned to present it at sentencing, arguing for leniency. Marcus nodded, but his thoughts were on Liam. His son was 16, too young to carry this burden, yet he was leading a charge Marcus had never dared to dream of. The day of sentencing arrived, the courthouse packed. Marcus stood beside Sarah, his heart pounding as the judge entered. Liam was in the front row, his rainbow pin gleaming. Aisha held his hand, and Pastor Grace sat behind them, her presence a quiet strength. The gallery was a sea of faces, some familiar, some strangers drawn by the story. Sarah spoke first, her voice clear. "Your Honor, Marcus Kane acted as any parent would, to protect his child. New evidence shows he did not initiate contact with Officer Reed. We asked for probation, not jail time." She played the new video, and the room hushed. The footage was damning, not enough to overturn the verdict, but enough to cast doubt. Carter argued for the maximum sentence, calling Marcus a repeat risk to public safety. The words stung, but Marcus kept his eyes on Liam, drawing strength from his son's steady gaze. Then Liam stood. He'd asked to speak, and the judge allowed it. He walked to the stand, his hands shaking but his voice firm. "My dad's the best man I know," he said. "He came out to show me it's okay to be yourself, even when it's hard. He didn't resist arrest, he resisted losing me. Please, don't take him away." The room was silent, Liam's words hanging in the air. Marcus's eyes burned, and he saw tears in Sarah's. Even the judge paused, her expression softening. The gallery murmured, and Marcus felt the shift. Havenport was listening, maybe for the first time. The judge spoke, her voice measured. "Mr. Kane, your actions, while understandable, violated the law. But this court recognizes your intent and the context." She paused, glancing at Liam. "I sentence you to 3 months probation and community service. No jail time." The courtroom erupted. Cheers, gasps, some angry mutters. Marcus exhaled, relief flooding him. Liam rushed forward, hugging him tightly. "We did it, Dad," he whispered. Marcus held him, tears falling. "You did it, kid." Outside, the crowd roared as Marcus and Liam emerged. Aisha and Pastor Grace joined them, and the Truth for Marcus signs waved high. Holt's group was smaller now, their voices drowned out. The rain had stopped, and the sun broke through, casting a warm glow over Havenport. Marcus looked at Liam, his son's face alight with hope. They'd won more than a sentence. They'd shown their town what love could do. But Marcus knew the fight wasn't over. Havenport was changing, but slowly. He squeezed Liam's shoulder, ready to face whatever came next, together. The weeks after sentencing were a whirlwind. Marcus returned to work, his hands back on tools, shaping wood with the same care he'd always given. But Havenport felt different now. The truth for Marcus' movement hadn't faded, it had grown. Liam and Aisha kept the rallies going, focusing on broader issues: equality, acceptance, justice. Marcus watched his son become a leader, and it filled him with equal parts pride and fear. Elena threw a welcome home party at the hardware store, the small space packed with friends and supporters. Jamal brought coffee from his shop, Tessa baked cookies, and Miguel played music from his phone. Liam stood in the corner, sketching in his notebook, but his eyes shone every time someone thanked him. Marcus pulled him close. "You changed everything, kid." Liam blushed, shrugging. "I just told the truth." But not everyone celebrated. Richard Holt's group still gathered, their signs quieter but no less bitter. Marcus overheard whispers at the diner. Some called him a hero, others a troublemaker. The town's fault lines remained, and Marcus knew his probation was a fragile victory. He had to report weekly, complete community service, and stay out of trouble. One misstep, and he could lose everything. Sarah stopped by one evening, her briefcase stuffed with papers. "The appeal's still an option," she said. The new video could overturn the resisting charge. Marcus considered it, but shook his head. "I'm free. Liam's safe. That's enough for now." Sarah nodded, understanding. "You've got a good kid. He's changing this town." Marcus's community service was at the local youth center, where he taught woodworking to teens. Liam joined him, and they worked side by side, carving tables and chairs for the community. The kids loved Marcus's stories, how he'd built his first chair at 15, how he'd learned to love himself at 40. One girl, a quiet 15-year-old named Mia, asked, "How do you deal with people hating you for who you are?" Marcus glanced at Liam, then said, "You find the ones who love you, and you hold them tight." Liam's activism grew bolder. He and Aisha started a youth group for LGBTQ kids and allies, meeting at Pastor Grace's church. The first meeting drew 20 kids, some nervous, others defiant. Liam spoke about his dad, about the trial, about standing up. Marcus attended, sitting in the back, his heart swelling as Liam's voice filled the room. He saw himself in his son, the same stubborn hope, the same refusal to break. But tension lingered. One night, Marcus found Liam sitting on their porch, staring at the stars. "What's wrong?" Marcus asked, sitting beside him. Liam sighed. "Some kids at school, they're saying I made it worse for you, that I should have stayed quiet." Marcus's jaw tightened. "You saved me, Liam. Don't ever doubt that." Liam nodded, but his eyes were distant. Marcus pulled him into a hug, feeling the weight of his son's courage. The next day, Marcus found a note slipped under the store's door. "You don't belong here." No signature, but he knew Holt's crowd was behind it. He didn't tell Liam, but he told Elena, who cursed and promised to keep an eye out. "This town's got to pick a side," she said. Marcus nodded, but he wondered if Havenport ever would. As his probation continued, Marcus felt the eyes of the town on him. Some neighbors waved, others looked away. He kept working, kept teaching, kept loving Liam. The Truth for Marcus movement was a beacon, but it also made them a target. Marcus knew they'd stirred something bigger than one trial, a fight for Havenport's soul. One evening, Liam came home with a new sketch. Him and Marcus, standing together, surrounded by a crowd holding rainbow flags. "This is us," Liam said. "This is what we're fighting for." Marcus's eyes burned. He'd spent years teaching Liam to be strong, but now his son was teaching him what courage really meant. 3 months into probation, Marcus stood on the beach with Liam, the Pacific crashing against the shore. The air was crisp, the sky clear, and Havenport felt alive with possibility. The Truth for Marcus movement had grown into a community effort, with Pastor Grace's church hosting town halls on inclusion. Liam and Aisha led the charge, their youth group now a haven for dozens of kids. Marcus watched his son shine, and it healed something deep inside him. But the scars remained. Holt's group hadn't disappeared. They'd gone quieter, their anger simmering in private meetings. Marcus still found notes, heard whispers, felt the weight of eyes on him. Yet he also saw change. The diner's owner put up a rainbow sticker. The youth center hung a pride flag. Havenport was shifting, slowly, because of Liam. One evening, Marcus and Liam attended a town hall. The room was packed, supporters, skeptics, and everyone in between. Liam took the stage, his voice steady. "This isn't just about my dad," he said. "It's about all of us. We deserve to live without fear, to love without shame." The crowd applauded, and even some of Holt's allies stayed silent, listening. Marcus spoke next, his first time addressing the town since the trial. "I didn't plan to be a symbol," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "I just wanted to protect my son. But if our story can make Havenport better, then it's worth it." He looked at Liam, his heart full. "I'm proud of who I am, because it taught my son to be proud too." The room erupted in cheers, and Marcus saw tears in Pastor Grace's eyes, a nod from Elena, a grin from Aisha. Even the judge, who'd attended quietly, clapped. Holt was there too, his face unreadable. Marcus met his eyes, not with anger, but with resolve. This was their town too. As probation ended, Marcus and Liam stood on the courthouse steps, where it all began. The crowd was smaller now, but the love was louder. Aisha handed Liam a megaphone, and he spoke one last time. "We told the truth, and it mattered. Let's keep telling it." Marcus pulled him close, whispering, "You're my hero." Havenport wasn't perfect. There'd be more fights, more notes, more whispers. But Marcus and Liam had faced the worst and come out stronger. They'd shown their town that love could win, not just in court, but in hearts. As they walked home, hand in hand, Marcus knew they'd keep fighting, together, for a world where truth and love were enough.